good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you're watching. I'm glad you've joined me today. And let me introduce myself first. I'm Maurice Boland, and this is the Maurice Boland Show. Now, you might have noticed, those of you who've heard this, seen the show before, that we have been broadcasting from our studios. Today, we are broadcasting from my own lounge. Yes, I'm inviting my guests to enjoy and join me in my lounge today. So my special guest today is the incorrigible Katie Hopkins, and I know many of you are waiting by or standing by as well to have a listen to what she has to say. Gubs, she always has a lot to say, so sit back and enjoy. You're very welcome today, and I'm delighted to have my special guest. Today, two names make a mark in our history. One is Ringo Starr. He's 80 years old. Happy birthday, Ringo. And the second one is my guest on my show for the first time after 35 years. She's joined my show. Now, let me read a little introduction and the way that I read about who she is. She's a media personality, a columnist, a businesswoman, a soldier, a star of Apprentice. I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, famous for being outspoken, and got sacked from all her jobs. Who else could she be but Katie Hopkins? Katie, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me on. That was a very polite introduction to my good self.
I was polite. Now, I also, a little politeness here. I just want to read something because people knew you were coming on. And just a few of the messages. People said, can't wait. Big thank you. Can't wait. This is a good one. And then one came in like this. I cannot understand why you would want to give this woman a platform to spread her evil thoughts.
Yes. So I should say two things here right at the front end. Number one, thank you so much to people who are kind enough to show their support, to write to you and say great stuff. You know, it's not that I'm looking for compliments, nor are you, I'm sure, but thank you for all those good souls. Secondly, to anybody who wants to attack you, Maurice, for having me on, please can I say, perhaps to that lady, that sounds like a female.
Gentleman.
Oh, it was a gentleman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
May I say to that gentleman, please remember, it's me you don't like. So please attack me, aim your comments at me, and leave Maurice out of this. So he's hosted me. It doesn't mean he agrees with me. It doesn't mean he likes anything I say, or indeed doesn't like me. He's just put me on here. And what you've got in front of you, sir, have something called a remote control. You have an off button. And if you don't want to hear me, please press the off button now. Anyway, that's my kind of trying to get you out of being battered by certain individuals.
That's very kind of you. I'm loved to be hated as well. What my wife used to say about me on radio, she said, one of the greatest things I had on radio is a button, to be able to press that button and switch him off. Now, you've heard all this stuff here as my introduction, Katie. How would you describe yourself?
Yes. Well, first up, and it's a constant in my life, I say that I am a straight, white, Christian, conservative, married mother of 3 children under the age of 16, and I'm proud of all of those things. Parts of that description are related to a time in my life. I had a very dramatic surgery and had to have very short hair for a period, and for my American audience, they struggle with that because short-haired women are always lesbians. So I had to explain that I was straight. But for the rest of the time, I describe myself really as just a regular mum who really wants to help give people who no longer have a voice some kind of voice out there. Not to say that I speak for anybody but myself, but I do like to be outspoken about things that I think are so important. Things like being proud of being English, being proud of being white, standing up for people who just want to work hard, look after their families and go home at night. Some of the stuff that's rather been dismissed in recent years as being old-fashioned or dated or indeed racist.
Katie Hopkins on the show. Katie, you have been outspoken and you have been accused of many things, racist, etc., but you've continued, and that has cost you a lot. And you continue still. It's cost you your home, I believe. It's cost you income, I believe. It's cost you were kicked off Twitter and off many shows. I actually saw you in my home country in Ireland And one of the first things on the Late Late Show that you did was you started to attack fat people. Oh, it's very unfair of you. I mean, come on. You know, not all fat people stuff their face every day with cake and biscuits. It's metabolism. It's something that might be wrong. So it's not fair to pigeonhole all fat people. And I saw you do that. And the audience, the woman who came back at you, the audience started clapping her. And you were saying, stop clapping. Are you clapping them because of her? Because she's fat? Very unfair of you, dear Katie.
Bless your heart. Yes. What is that host called on RTE? The limpless, spineless
Ryan. There you are, being rude to that host. Ryan Tuberty is his name.
Well, no, I think being truthful about the host, Ryan Tuberty, the man who somehow can still walk without having a spine. It's an Irish miracle right there. He must be a believer. But yes, the Late 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 Show has been generous enough to have me on there a couple of times. It always does fabulously well for them. It's consistently been their best rated programme of all time when I've been on. But obviously I've needed to be banned now because the things I was saying were a bit too close to the mark. But certainly if you refer to my fat comments there, Tubbs, and maybe you're a little self-conscious yourself.
Stop. No, I'm okay.
So I believe if you have socialised healthcare like we do, the NHS, you need to be able to own your issues. I don't mind if you want to be 25 stone. I don't mind if you're so fat you can't get out of bed, no problem. Just don't ask me to pay for it. And currently that's what people do. I have to pay for people's knees and hips. So what I did, because I'm a woman who puts my money where my mouth is, I'm 8.5 stone. I don't know what that is in pounds. I have to think 130 maybe. I put on 4 stone in 3 months and lost it again in 3 months to prove that fat people are lazy. And I understand what you're saying about metabolism, but that's just an excuse. People always have excuses. I've got big bones. It runs in my family. And what I was trying to do was indicate that if you stuff too much in your face, you get fat. But, you know, let's park the fat thing for a moment. I think what I'm trying to do on a more general level is be outspoken about my views.
Okay. Let's move that because we've got a limited time here. So let's just move that a little bit if we can and talk about your outspoken views. And let's talk about something that's top of the press, top of the headlines at the moment. Two things. That, of course, is COVID-19, the coronavirus, and Black Lives Really Matter. And we'll start with that, Black Lives Really Matter, because you have been accused at times, and some of the stuff you're saying has been racist. So let's kick off with that one. Black Lives Really Matter. Now, it's gone a little haywire at the moment because politically behind it, they've accused Hamas and et cetera, that are behind the terrorist organizations behind the Black Lives Matter. So let's hear your views on that.
Yes. Well, I think the Black Lives Matter now affiliating with abolish capitalism, defund the police, stop trading with Israel makes it clear that it's been hijacked. What's very unfortunate, of course, is that our Premier League decided to go down on one knee. And if you go down on one knee to something, you go down on one knee to the whole thing. So they've gone down on one knee to abolish capitalism, defund the police, stop trading with Israel. And I think it's a crying shame that no one, not one footballer, not one manager, not one pundit had the tenacity or the kahunas to stand and say, no, I will not be my having spent time undercover dressed as a Black Lives Matter protester, in the sense that I dressed like a vegan who's never had a sexual relationship in her life. I've seen them firsthand. And I think that this is a mob of individuals who know that they have no police to police them. They know that they are free to demolish statues, to trash the cenotaph, to deface Churchill. And they were very clear when I was amongst them that the police were being hands off. And actually, when the truth of this is told, you know, black crime in the UK is the highest. Blacks are disproportionately represented in the prison service, and black deaths killed by other black individuals are the highest numbers. So if Black Lives Matter so much, my question is, why do black people keep killing black people in the UK?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that you say that, but, you know, this going down on one knee for a start, this was the start of the campaign, a very innocent campaign. I think a lot of footballers, as you know, are younger than you and certainly younger than me, and were probably innocent in what they were doing. They didn't go down on one knee thinking, well, we have a terrorist organization or a political organization. They were just expressing how they felt.
No, I think you're completely wrong.
I'm completely right.
I think you're completely wrong, but we can go panto if you like. You're completely wrong, because this was never a harmless organisation. Many of those players did not know why they were going down on one knee.
Exactly.
Oh, great. Listen to yourself, Maurice.
No, listen, they were emotionally involved.
No, you listen to me. You asked me a question. I'm going to answer it.
Okay, come on.
You're going to go down on one knee, Maurice, are you? But you don't know why. What does that say about you or your intellect? What does it say about the intelligence of these people? Young people are so brainwashed in this country because of our hideous indoctrination in the school system. They go down on one knee and they don't even know why they're down there with their arse in the air. And Maurice, you're defending them. You should be ashamed of yourself.
No, hold on a minute. Let me just put this, defending. I'm not defending what's behind it, what we know now, what we didn't know at the beginning.
You're defending them going on one knee and not knowing why.
At the time, that's all been stopped now. I believe there's no more badges.
No, they're still on one knee. No, they're still on one knee. Every game.
Are they?
Yes.
I think one or two maybe. Do you know, I wrote something which you might agree or not agree. You know, as a child, it was instilled into me, and I suppose in most childs, that black was evil. As a child, right? Black spot, black male, and funerals we wore black. Surely this was something that, and white was good. Black was evil, white was good. I'm not talking about people. This was instilled as children, no?
I mean, I wouldn't, I don't relate to that. I suppose generationally, even though I look quite old, we're not quite as old as each other. I think actually we were all rubbing along pretty nicely here in the UK. When I listen to people that email me and write to me about this, they say, we never had a problem before. Now everyone's acutely aware of themselves. Even my husband's black colleagues in work are saying, I was fine a couple of weeks ago. Now managers are tiptoeing around me like I'm made of glass. I actually think Black Lives Matter was anything but harmless. I think it was probably one of the most divisive moments in our recent history, and there's been a lot of those.
I've heard you quote the other day, actually, was saying that in 2030, 35, something around
yes.
that England is going to be overrun by Muslims. I mean, there'll be more Muslims than
yes.
Christians.
Yes, exactly. So maybe I address this to my harshest of critics. Please don't, accept what I'm saying. Please go and look. But by 2035, Muslim births outnumber all births to any other religion and or none in the UK. And by 2045, Muslims are a majority in the UK. They are a majority in London, Luton, Leicester, Birmingham, Bradford, areas of those cities already. And if I may, just with one final remark here, let's look at the slaughter of 3 gay men in a park in Reading just the other week, how that disappeared from the media. Unlike Black Lives Matter for George Floyd, an American with a criminal record longer than my first marriage, those 3 gay gentlemen that were killed, one of them beheaded nearly, that disappeared. And the reason it disappeared, of course, is because the attacker is a Muslim gentleman, and the left will always stand with Muslims because that's where the power lies within 10 years in my country.
So, solutions for this before we move on to
Sure.
the COVID. Solutions. How do you see, if you believe that the English people as such will
yes.
have a majority of Muslims living there, therefore
yes.
they will have the power to go into
yes.
government, to go wherever they want. How would you see a balance being brought in? Is it immigration?
No, it's gone for us in that regard. And I'm not at all a negative or a doomsayer. I'm an optimist and an enthusiast, as you can tell. I'm rather over-enthusiastic about everything. But what will happen is already happening, is people are looking for a new place to call home. People are pulling out of the cities, as you can see. That's why we have Muslim majorities there. Whites are pulling backwards. You know, I'm virtually on the coast. There's a reason for that. And we're on the move. So our Jewish friends in London are moving to Israel. Our Polish friends are returning to Eastern Europe. And certainly many Christian families are looking eastwards as well. One of the top questions I'm asked on a weekly basis is, where do I go? For non-Jews, it's a question of where is our Israel. Certainly time is running out for whites in the UK, and we're very much following the model of South Africa, where they're down to 4%.
Yeah, I just want to add, you're having a little problem at times with your connection, just a little problem. So I apologize.
Sorry about that.
It's out of people's control when that happens. So your solution really is there's no solution now. It's gone past that, and people are now immigrating to different countries to get about. But I've heard there are a lot of people, black people, Muslim people in England, thinking of going back to their own countries, or not their own, because some of them, most of them are born, I apologize for that, but countries of origin, if you want, for families, because there's a lot more work there and these countries are improving while UK is sort of going down the Swanee a little.
Yes, exactly. People are returning, and whether that's white people, Jewish people, black people, certainly our Indian diaspora, who are the best. They came here to work hard as their children do better than us in school. They are certainly wondering where to go now. They certainly aren't looking at sending their children, Indian children or children from the Indian diaspora. They're certainly not looking at British universities because we are so far down a dark path. However, there are glimpses of light, and I give you for that the brilliant Brits who flew the White Lives Matter Burnley banner over the football stadium whilst the cowards were on one knee. Whilst we are falling and fast, there are a good bastion of us who will fight the good fight right till the end. And I'm certainly one of them. It's cost me everything I have, but I will not be quiet and I will not go out without a fight.
Well, it's your opinion. It's a free world, free speech, and you can continue that way. So talking about free speech, just because we're a limited time here, let's talk a little bit about how you coped, or did you cope with lockdown, and your opinions of the whole COVID scene, because I think you think, maybe I'm wrong or right, that you think it's a bit of a hoax.
Yes. So there is no such thing as free speech in the UK. Please don't perpetuate that myth. Most Brits would acknowledge that before words even leave their mouth, they have to censor them. There is no such thing as free speech. In terms of corona, clearly there's a virus. Clearly there's some kind of flu. It doesn't really affect young people. It affects old people and people over the age of 85 who were likely to die within the next year or so. What I believe is a hoax is our response to what is a mild flu. Locking down a nation, removing an entire economy, destroying jobs, destroying my children's future. My 14-year-old child, who earns £3.20 an hour, received her first I could go and grab it actually, her first redundancy letter last week. And that's the age of 14. I've done everything I can to encourage my children to work, and they're being made redundant at the age of 14. And for that, I blame politicians and the left. And it suits them perfectly to crash the economies of populist leaders and the right.
You say your 14-year-old, do I get it right? Work, is it school holiday work, or of course you're off holiday, you're forced off school at the moment, or is it you're school homing at all time in your kids' work?
Oh, no. So I'm not that mean. My children go to school like normal children, although obviously British children have not been educated for close to 6 months by the time they see a school again. All my children work. My 14-year-old works at a local garden centre. She's a waitress in the cafe, and she received her letter last week making her redundant from her part-time Saturday job where she was paid £3.50 an hour. And that's a backdrop of a family trying to encourage children to do the right thing. You know, my 16-year-old daughter works as well. She had 3 jobs, 2 of those have gone. That's what we're faced with because people decided to shut down an entire nation on the basis of death rates that I believe were largely contrived. As you will know, people died with or from COVID, and that was counted as a COVID death, whether they had something else or not.
You know, it's that in America, and I know you're a fan of Trump, but in America, or I don't know if you still are, but in America, in Florida, yesterday, Saturday, 11,000 new cases. The day before, 10,000 new cases.
Yes.
In UK, they've closed down Leicester. Here in Spain, where I am in north of Spain, 2 towns have just been gone back into lockdown again.
Yes, in Barcelona.
Yeah, so, you know, this isn't just a flu because there is no cure for this yet. There is no vaccine for it yet. Now, I had Dr. Richard Horton on the show from Lancet yesterday, and he was talking about that the second spike is going to be probably the worst in our history of a spread of virus. You know, it is a very serious virus. This is not just a common cold.
In your opinion, Maurice?
In my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. And in my opinion, it's a virus. The more people that get it, in my opinion, fantastic. The more people that have it, fantastic, because for 98% of people, they have no symptoms or mild symptoms. So the more people that get it, the better. I'm not frightened of the virus. I'm frightened of lockdown. And my message to everybody is I am not socially distancing. If you need to socially distance yourself from me, that suits me perfectly. And you've been fed this idea of second spike, second wave. I believe that's part of the hoax as well, to frighten people into doing what the state requires them to do.
So you don't wear a mask, do you, when you go out? I would say that's obvious.
Say again?
Sorry, you don't. Yeah, you just broke up a little. Oops. You don't wear a mask. Wait a minute. Sorry. You don't wear a mask, I assume, because of your decision not to. So, but mind you, I think by not social distancing and not wearing a mask is not it's not showing respect to other people's beliefs.
Oh, do you think?
Yes,
I think if you're, yes, I understand what you're saying. I say, if you're afraid, please do stay indoors, stay away from me. You own your fear. I'm not afraid. I don't believe in any of the coronavirus lockdown hoax. I wonder, Maurice, how you justify the fact that our hospitals remained empty, our cancer patients went untreated, and the Nightingale emergency hospitals were mothballed before they were ever used. If corona is so terrifying, why were all of our hospitals empty?
I seem to be losing you there again. It's you're jamming.
One moment, Maurice. Let me just see if I can assist. Hold on.
Okay, take your time. I tell you one thing while I'm speaking to Katie and she's doing a little technical work. It's very hot today. Boy, I'm feeling a little sweaty, so I excuse that. Right, okay.
Sorry about that. I just need to try to improve the connection.
Okay, well, it's improved. Okay, there you go, so far. Okay, so yes, your point of the hospitals were empty and cancer patients weren't being treated, etc., etc. I just think the world was caught unaware here and didn't know how to cope with it so fast. We're talking about a matter of just 3 months.
Yeah, but,
you know,
but we built hospitals. Yeah. But Maurice, we built hospitals that were never used.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm not going to disagree with that. I agree.
Why are you telling me it's such a serious problem? Why are you telling me
it's a very serious virus? I said, a huge problem. If one of your family should catch that virus, you know, children have died of it. There's 35-year-olds is catching it as well. If one of your family caught it and died, you'd think it was one hell of a problem.
No, Maurice, because 85% of those who died were over the age of 85.
Okay, and the other few?
There's some others, but that's true of life. There's risks out there. You cannot make the government responsible for risk in people's lives. We have to own that risk. I own mine, which is my choice to carry on, travel where I want, do what I want. You can own your fear by staying indoors. Okay.
Now, finally, I'm going to mention 3 names to you, okay?
Sure.
And I want your opinion on these 3 names. Let's start with Sir Keir. Is it Keir Starmer? Is that how you pronounce it?
Keir Starmer.
Keir Starmer. Now, he just sacked Rebecca Long Bailey, as you know, for endorsing, if you want, a tweet, a ridiculous tweet blaming Israel for the death of the Neil, if you want the word called the Neil, saying that Israelis trained the police how to kill their suspects. It was a ridiculous thing. There's been even a parade against Israel now in New York, I think, yesterday. Did he do the right thing by sacking Rebecca?
No, I don't think Keir Starmer does the right thing by sacking people. I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to say there's no anti-Semitism in my party. But Keir Starmer is a concern. When he was Director of Public Prosecutions, he failed to do anything about the mass grooming or rape of our young white girls. I think what they wanted was someone who looked a bit like Tony Blair that people could vote for in the centre. He will become another Tony Blair. He already is. And I don't think he's true. There will be massive divisiveness and factions now on the left because the hard left can't.
It's gone again. Your connection has gone again. Maybe it's just the way it is. But we're coming close to the end, and I do apologise to the viewers for it's a connection thing. Right, you're back again. It's a little connection thing. What about Boris, your Prime Minister?
Yes. So I was a passionate believer in Boris. I loved him. I was thrilled when he got in on the 12th of December, and he is a brilliant, brilliant man. He can speak fluent Latin and Greek. He can recite Homer's Odyssey from memory. I've spent time with him. But I believe his handling of the coronavirus in terms of the lockdown has been a monumental failure and a disaster. And I think he lost his sense of Churchillian sort of stoicism. And for that, I think he will be replaced in short order by Rishi Sunak, who is our charming Chancellor.
Okay, and finally, Donald Trump.
I love him. He's a genius. He's a one-man army against the world. He wakes up every day and faces endless wrath. He didn't have to do any of this. He's a self-made man. He's a billionaire. He owns half of New York and the skyline. And yet he put himself out there to try and defend the freedom of America. And truly, America is the last man standing in the freedom and the fight that we're all in.
He made a public tweet saying he supports and he likes you. So therefore, you have a fan, at least, in Donald Trump. Thanks for joining us today, Katie. I'm delighted. Do you ever get to Spain? Do you ever come down this end, or you keep down the country in UK?
Oh, no. I'm always, apart from lockdown, which of course is ridiculous,
sure.
I'm always on the road.
When you say on the road, do you mean in the air, on the road? Do you come here? Do you come down to Spain?
Yeah, well, I would travel anywhere there's a story. Last time I was in Spain was for the migrants coming across the Med into Italy, and then your Spanish government were being incredibly weak and allowing them into Spain. So that was the last time I was there with you.
Okay. No, I should have asked you at the very beginning, and I am very rude. What are you doing at the moment? What's your work? What do you do?
Yes. Well, as you say, I have lost everything. Every job I ever had, they came from my house. They come from my children. They came from my home. They came from my head, actually. But I am still engaged and employed by American conservative organizations. So I'm much self-funded, but I stay on the road and I try and help share the stories, for example, of our white South African farmers being hunted off their land. So I'm very fortunate to have the support I have. But no, in terms of formal work, it's American work I have.
Okay, your connection got a bit worse there. We're coming to the end, and during the interview, there was very few interruptions with your connection, so I'm thankful of that. And I'm also thankful of giving you a little bit of time to us here. I believe from your management that you're off to America shortly, so we wish you a bon voyage and meet your fans there. One thing that's interesting, of course, with you, Katie, you've got millions of followers, although you were kicked off Twitter. You are on another, just quickly for those who'd like to follow you, you're on another Twitter type thing. What are you on?
Yes, exactly. If you want to join along with what I do, I used to maybe follow me before at capital K, capital T, Hopkins. So KT Hopkins. And if you look, there's a platform called Parler, which is Parler, the French spelling, Parler. And I'm now on there, and I'm fortunate to have gained, I think, 300,000 followers in a week or so. So very grateful to my supporters sticking with me while Twitter kicked me off their platform because I was, I guess, a little too influential in the elections.
Well, I'm not going to kick you off here. I'm only going to say goodbye. And thanks for joining us here. And I hope if you get down here for some story or something, you'll look us up and say hello. Yeah. Thanks for joining in my living room today. Not the studio. The studio's getting a refit, so I hope it wasn't too uncomfortable for you.
No, I love it. I love your living room. It's very, very smart. I particularly like the way you've arranged your cushions.
Well, did I?
Yeah, look. That wouldn't happen in my house because I have 3 kids. They would never stay like that.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. But look, I'm as I say, I'm very happy that you have joined us, and I'm sure a lot of people will listen because you've got a huge following, and some will agree, some will not agree. Yes. I haven't agreed, as you know, with a lot of the points that you made. But as I say, you say that it's no free speech. There's certainly free speech here, right on this show, and you've been allowed to say what you want to say, and I've been allowed to say what I want to say. I hope no one will censor that.
Good for you. Agreement is not the precursor to debate.
Hear, hear. Katie Hopkins, thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Maurice. Have a great day.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. And just before we go, may I remind you to subscribe onto my YouTube channel. All the details are coming up right now.